Hey, thank you. Welcome. This is State Building Code Council. This is our first meeting of the Economic Impact Work Group. Is that what we call it? Work Group for Economic Impact.
There you go. It was out of order, but had all the right words.
All right, thank you. We will take roll call, please.
Todd Byerther,
Here.
Cal Anderson. Let me pull up my attendees list. 1 second. I got a bounce back email from him earlier today saying he was out of office. Okay. Angela Haupt.
Here.
Thank you. Dan Young.
Here.
Ben Omura. Not seen in the room. And Katie Sheehan. Not seen in the room. So we are short one seat for a quorum of this group today. But it doesn't mean we can't discuss what the topic at hand is.
Okay, thank you. And we probably don't intend to take action today. This is an introduction meeting of what we're doing, and we definitely will not take 2 hours. So, okay, let's complete. Anyone from the public I'd like to be recognized.
Tim Atterbury, Associated General Contractors of Washington.
Thank you, Tim. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yes, this is Patrick Inks with the Building Industry Association of Washington. I'm double booked for about an hour, but trying to follow along. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Okay.
And Ben did just pop up.
Yep. So we're sitting with a quorum now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's move on to 2. Can we hear a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved. This is Dan.
Okay.
I think that's second from Angela. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? So approved. Okay, let's jump right into it. So as a reminder, I think this is correct. This work group is automatically formed by all of the TAG chairs.
That's correct.
Okay. And then the council chair has to chair this, but I'm also representing the IBC TAG.
Yeah, and then notably also Roger Heringa, the chair of the single exit multiplex housing ad hoc tag, is not formally included in this group because that stuff will slide up into the building code.
Okay. I think he asked to not be on it also.
That too. Yeah.
So, but it makes sense. There's logic to it.
So we could ask to not be on it.
You can ask.
I could ask. Okay, yeah.
He played the ad hoc card there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. Dustin, you maybe want to start a little bit the discussion and
Yes.
Let's interrupt anytime. This is meant to be a
Yeah, so anybody from the public, feel free to raise hand as well as we talk about this. So right now we are in the deep end of our 2024 code adoption cycle. We have some tight timelines to meet. At our executive committee last Friday, we identified the date that we are trying to file CR 102s as October 1st. And as part of the CR 102 filing, which is what we put on file with the code revisor's office to show what our proposed 2024 code amendments will look like. That it begins the public comment period. As part of that document filing, we are required by the Administrative Procedures Act to also include a preliminary cost benefit analysis. The reason it's preliminary is because the council will have the prerogative to update and change rules based on the comments heard through the public comment period. And so when we file our final rules, we have to also file a final cost benefit analysis. So for now, we're looking to get a preliminary report out, but we want that to be as robust as possible so that there's not a lot of changes as a result of public comment coming through at CR 103 time. Another component of the CR 102 filing is the small business economic impact statement. where we are trying to mitigate impacts to small businesses as much as possible. And if a rule that we are proposing impacts a small business disproportionately as compared to the larger businesses out there, we want to try to mitigate that rule and reduce that overall impact to the small business, or potentially not adopt that rule as well. So as part of this the main reason we're here today is to discuss how we are going to plan and attack this report generation in a timely fashion. So we have essentially three kind of directives that we're trying to meet. One is draft those two reports, the preliminary cost benefit analysis and the small business economic impact statement. We want to do it better than it has been done in the past. So there's been some scrutiny delivered to SBCC on the content of these reports in the past, and it is a high bar that we're trying to set for ourselves to improve that process and improve transparency and all of the above to our process to reduce the risk to the council overall throughout this process. And then the third part of that is that we are trying to do it by October 1. And there's a lot to go over as we do that. So as we are looking for guidance on how to do this, for the most part, there's an Office for Regulatory Innovation and Assistance, or ORIA. It's a Washington department designed to oversee the Regulatory Fairness Act, which segues into the Administrative Procedures Act as part of our significant legislative rulemaking process. They provide some guidance documents, but they are not necessarily going to be the one-off, this is exactly how we do this guidance documents we would hope to find for what we're doing here today. So first and foremost is the economic impact process. And then secondary is going to be the small business economic impact statement to that. And today we're just really trying to outline and discuss what is going to start happening at these work group of economic impact meetings moving forward. The plan is to have these regularly occurring weekly to get all our codes discussed and get some good input so that we can have more robust reports moving into our CR 102 process. And I'll pause there as the introduction.
Thank you, Dustin. I was going to ask, is it easy to point to our RCWs where these requirements exist?
Yes, but it's sometimes it's not a choose your own adventure, but it is a little bit convoluted. The easiest way to point to the RCW is going to be 3405, Section 3, which is going to be the Administrative Procedures Act. Let me pop that up here.
Any other questions while Dustin's pulling it up? And that was where I was going with this, is want to make sure it's everyone understands it's in the rulemaking procedures.
Not necessarily our 19.27 RCW. So we have 3405.328. In this one, for significant legislative rules, we're supposed to provide the notice that we have a preliminary cost benefit analysis available. It must fulfill the requirements of this cost benefit analysis under Part D, which is this section here. If the agency files any sort of supplemental CR 102, we must also update this preliminary cost benefit analysis. So that's where this is pointed to. There's not a lot of quantity in subsection D It's just a brief statement saying that the benefits of the rule are greater than its probable costs, taking into account the qualitative and quantitative benefits of cost and other specific directives of the statute being implemented. So there's not a ton of guidance by that RCW, and that's where we kind of get back to looking to ORIA for this one. And the small business economic impact statement is pointed to, it's escaping me right off the top of my head. So give me 2 moments to, hold on, that's not what I wanted to do.
And while you're doing that, Dustin, I'll just fill in. We've talked about this many times as a council, but that's where that benefit to cost analysis comes in, that both quantitative and qualitative benefits. So it's again, in my interpretation, it's not always cost of this code cycle versus cost of the last code cycle. We have to bring in the benefit analysis also. Go ahead, Patrick.
Utility hookup time.
I think for the Regulatory Fairness Act, RCW
1985.
1985.
Yes.
There
Nice.
you go.
Thank
So,
you.
this one, 3405.320, is essentially the RCW that says this is what you will have in your CR 102. The CR 102, the form incorporates reference to RCW 19.85, which is the Regulatory Fairness Act, and requires that, significant legislative rules not disproportionately impact small businesses. And so we have these 2 reports that were required to file with CR 102. And I believe that the 320 RCW 34.05.320 and also .328 are the main RCWs that point to these requirements.
Okay, and then can you remind us, you said report, assuming then the council accepts those reports, just like we accept the other reports.
Yes.
Where is that formally?
Well, there is nothing formally in any of our bylaws or RCW that says the council must accept those reports. It has just been the practice that before filing, we bring everything before the council to do a one last blessing before the filing occurs.
Before final or with final adoption?
Well, yes, that as well, but so right now we've got our group 1 code changes authorized by the council to be drafted into CR 102. So if we were only drafting the code change proposals, we would go ahead and file those, but the content of these reports or statements that go along with the CR 102, we bring back to the council for review and acceptance before we file them. And then Krista, do you want to follow up a little bit on that?
Yeah, just to be clear, in the past, this information has never gone up before the council before being filed with the code revisor's office.
Oh,
Mm.
then that's a process change that I would like to bring here. So in the past then, Krista, is it accurate to say that staff has just prepared these and filed them alongside with the CR 102 document?
Yes, sometimes in cooperation with the work group, but it's just gone from the information gathering at the work group to the staff to prepare it and then filing it, and it hasn't ever gone back before the council again after that drafting process. It's just been discussed during the public hearing process.
And Krista, I think what you're referring to, and maybe Dustin, can we go to WAC 5104-020? And that does sound, if you go down to, I think that's 5 down at the bottom. And I think that's the distinction you're making, Krista, the last sentence, that The first sentence says the council shall review the proposed statewide amendments and approve those. And then the second sentence says the proposed rule filing shall include at least the small business economic impact statement.
And I guess I was mistaken not having all that. It is in our whack there. So
Well, yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't have the council review of that. It's just reviewing the proposed state amendments.
and that second sentence only includes the small business economic impact. Anyway, I think we understand the intent. I'm just trying to pick apart if we all understand here.
You know, as far as getting council approval on the filing of these reports, I think that increases the transparency for the whole process if we bring it back before the council, before the filing on these two documents.
Treat them as reports, accept them like we accept the existing amendments, and okay. Okay. Any questions? Disagreements?
This is Tim with AGC. I just had a comment. This is a couple slides ago. It mentioned that the economic impact statement should involve coordination with other state, local, and federal regulations. And so, you know, for 2 decades, I've kind of been saying to folks, it's never the one regulation that disincentivizes investment in this state. It's all the regulations stacked on top of each other that disincentivize investment and development and alike. And so I'm just curious what folks on the council think and what Dustin thinks when he hears the word coordinate in as far as coordinating with other state, local, and federal regulations. Does that mean there's an analysis done where you take the regulation proposed and sort of measure it against all other regulations that have been passed over the many decades, or what does it mean?
Well, to me, you know, doing that coordination right now, we're trying to improve the process. And right now, the coordination we're trying to improve upon is that public engagement aspect of it, where we are trying to bring in more robust information and also include the folks who are proposing these rules, the folks who are going to be responsible for doing work according to the rules, folks who are going to be enforcing the rules, and trying to increase that transparency there. As far as the coordination with other, you know, state and federal rules, we try to do the coordination during our tag meetings and process developing the rules. And, you know, we can improve upon that process at this juncture as well. And Krista, you want to follow on?
Yeah, in the past, the interpretation has been that we coordinate with other agencies to make sure that we don't have conflicting rules. You know, like working with the Department of Health on plumbing issues and the State Fire Marshal's office on fire code stuff, and L&I for elevators and plumbing and the other various aspects that they take over.
Could we swing back to that slide? I think it was the first slide you put up, Dustin, that just I want to go back and maybe just read it with the group on coordination and sort of what it says, but we have to do.
So is this I believe it was just the RCW you were
No,
looking at?
down a couple, maybe 5 or 6 lines, coordinate the rule to the maximum extent practicable with other federal. Yeah. I just was curious if that meant sort of an analysis of, I mean, you guys have done a good job of explaining what you currently do. Just does that mean we're doing an analysis of how the new regulation impacts as it relates to all the other regulations that have been passed in the past?
I would say that right now we're not necessarily like the baseline we're going to be making our comparison to for the bulk of what we're doing is going to be the 2021 code. So if you're suggesting that we should compare to all of the base model code stuff and like that's not necessarily intended for what we have on deck right now.
Although I think I'd add, Tim, what we're trying to get to here is how we're going to flag these, and that includes all stakeholder engagements. So that might be an opportunity to help flag those situations also. Let's go to Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Dustin and Todd. I think this is a great improvement, and I just want to thank you guys for your going through this change. One question for clarification. Under that RCW 34 that you just showed, the number 1 says before adoption. And I was wondering if you had interpretation, is adoption considered the vote that the council makes, or is it considered the filing of the CR 103?
It's been interpreted as the vote that we need to make by December 1 this year. The actual CR 103 is just the filing of that adopted rule.
So then that would mean that this cost benefit analysis and economic impact statement would have to be prior to that vote then.
It needs to be prior to the CR 102. So we have our CR 101, which is the notice that our agency is looking to conduct some rulemaking. The CR 102 is the notice that is filed with the code revisor that says these are the changes we intend to make, and these are the preliminary benefits and costs of this, and also the analysis that it's not impacting the small businesses disproportionately. So those have to be on file by the Administrative Procedures Act. They have to be filed in conjunction with the CR 102. And then when we do the final adoption, we have our vote and a final cost benefit analysis is developed at that point and filed alongside the CR 103, which is the notice of the final adoption.
Okay, perfect. Even better if it's before the CR 102 and we can all review and review it. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
I just asked this because it wasn't always clear followed in the past. So great improvement. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. And yeah, I think we all have that opinion. So we're not to criticize anything. We just trying to find a better way here, and we can try to include the stakeholders and the tags maybe a little more this time and not be such a heavy lift on staff to be the interpreter, or and we've discussed over meetings that we don't have a third party, a consultant to pull this together. So we think it's probably best done, and that's why we're having this meeting today to discuss if it's best done, starting with a lead by the tag chairs and staff, and then when we're flagging certain items, making sure we can raise that and pull the tag together if needed to talk about it more. Some of the stuff has been talked about in the tags already as we went through the petitions. I think this is a good chance just to make sure we're level setting and on all of them and finishing off any consideration.
I will note for when the tags have discussed it, the proponent has put a cost benefit analysis in their code proposal or petition forms, but that's not really vetted. And so I would say personally myself as a tag member, I usually take that as a grain of salt. I can't speak for everyone else, but since we don't spend that much time vetting that.
Yeah, agreed. And that's what we want to do. We want to go back through one more time and make sure our memories are correct as we've gone through them. Did we see that and should it be flagged? And I think maybe we can start that discussion a little bit with especially with the tag chairs here. Is that a method we'd like to see? We start with the list of the CR 102, the spreadsheet, and then we quickly go through all those petitions and flag anything that we think stands out, and then give obviously opportunity for public input if there's something someone wants to see flagged.
And one other thing I'd like to just highlight is that the uniform plumbing code work, or the tag, working on that right now, the MVP, they are well down the road on addressing most of the proposals. They've got some additional work to do. So that one's not on the table for this group just yet. We want to get that body up and approved by the council to draft the CR 102. That's anticipated sometime in either late this month, definitely not the 15th council meeting, or potentially the September council meeting, or a special council meeting that will be needed to keep everything moving. The IRC is on a different track, which right now we are still running through the significant changes report. We did make excellent headway yesterday. We have another meeting tomorrow. But we haven't begun the proposal review just yet. And so we're likely going to be bringing that in September as well. And there's, in the last couple weeks of September, this group's going to have probably a large lift to go over the IRC with not a lot of time to get we're not going to have the time to discuss as we do for the group 1 codes right now. And then the other characterization I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of is that the contract that we've been working on for the energy code is going to be covering the cost benefit analysis, but it is not going to necessarily cover the small business economic impact statement for that code. And so I don't want to leave this just to Krista to develop like it has been done in the past. I would like to bring this group to bear on the energy codes as well for the small business economic impact statement. And so there's 10 codes to go over in 7.5 weeks.
Yeah. And Dustin, thank you for that. I didn't mention the energy codes are an exception because they're on a glide path that does have a third-party consultant helping.
Yes.
Correct.
And
Okay.
I'm definitely in upcoming code cycles, I really would like to bring a third party analysis to bear. That's part of the prerogative of this work group, is to engage third party analysis where necessary and prudent. One of the problems that we do face in that is adequate funding for a third-party analysis. We have funding dedicated to it for the energy code, but it's not something that's been addressed for the rest of the codes. I don't want to speak for the legislature, but it seems that they thought that the work group of economic impact in the past has been sufficient to address this concern, because we're not getting funding for specific third-party analysis.
Okay, well, maybe it'd be a good opportunity. I kind of laid out a proposal there that we've talked about a little internally. Put in a little bit of weight, put in a little bit of effort on the tag chairs to go through the list along with staff. I think we kind of know some of the ones we should flag right away. What's the best mechanism then? Do we need to have each tag meet? Could we reach out via email and try to seek input from the tag members first if they want to weigh in? And by the way, Dustin, maybe we should show the page you set up.
Yes. Are we talking about the work group of economic impact?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Just so people know that it's going to be posted. Like, I think you've done a great job. The whole team's done a great job this cycle getting these things up.
So with for this one, I don't love that it's under meeting schedules and agendas, but this is where all of these subgroups have been kind of couched with their particular pages in the past. So on this tab that drops down from any page on the SBCC site, we can go to the State Building Code Council meetings, all the different committee meetings or committees meetings pages, and on these we have specific documents. Then we get to the technical advisory groups where we post working documents and things like that. For example, on the building code tag, we have the electric vehicle work page. We have the embodied carbon work page in there. And then added just recently is the work group of economic impact down here at the bottom. When I created this, I didn't have a chance to get it pushed up in here next to the rest of the committees. That is probably something that's going to change here in the future. I want to get it. It is technically listed under committees in our bylaws. It's just not named as a committee. But I'd like to get it up here above the technical advisory groups. But in here, we have the bylaws statements saying what we are looking to do. It talks about our composition, and then we have our future and past meetings. This stuff down here, this is today's meeting. We don't have any attachments here, but we can go back. The last time this meeting met was in 2022. And we had a lot going on there, but there's not a ton of old meetings for this group beyond 2022. So this is the page where you'll see working documents popping up, draft forms, anything and everything to do with the work group of economic impact. The intent is to have this page be the landing site for that work.
Okay. And so for each tag, do we think we would start with the spreadsheet, or how do we do that?
I think that we would start with the master list of code proposals for each individual code broken out, and staff and the chair can review those code change proposals and do the preliminary sniff test to say, this code change, I would say that to characterize a lot of the proposals we received is that a lot of the times they will say there's no economic impact when there clearly is economic impact associated with these code change proposals. In the group 2 proposal round, staff did reach out to proponents to try to get additional input and say, hey, we think that this does have some economic impact. Can you please elaborate some more on this statement? And we got some feedback that got us some more information. And then we did get also some feedback that says, no, I stand by my statement and this has no impact. And so then that leaves any further analysis to SBCC to do the review. And so I think staff and tag chairs can go through, do a sniff test. If the information contained in the proposals needs additional information, I think the first stop on that route should be the proponent themselves. And then looking for industry and other stakeholders to have input. And so I'm looking to come back to next week's meeting with a questionnaire looking to address some of the key components of what we're looking to analyze here. And just to kind of summarize, looking for direct costs, indirect costs, direct benefits and indirect benefits, and then a question on, small business impact as well. If we can hit those and kind of clarify what we're looking for those specific categories of information, I think we can get a good baseline of information for us to begin working and then potentially get these across the line in our deadline that we're trying to meet.
Okay. So it seems like at the ICC level, there might be a way we can collect comments, document them, and then decide if we want the tag and eventually the council to weigh in if necessary,
Yes.
if there's some dispute. Okay.
And when you say ICC level, what did you mean?
I just mean when there's an opportunity to respond and and the comments get posted, sometimes they're pro and con and then at least we can have a discussion as documented and take action if we need to.
Yes.
And that should be, I mean, as long as it's an organized process, it should be a good way to collect feedback.
Yes. And I guess looking to next week's meeting, I'll pause, Dwayne.
Thank you. I just a couple things on this. I'm curious how you're going to deal with. One is that I think all of the proposals that had in the energy code anyway that had significant impact went through working groups and got significantly changed. So whatever the statement was at the beginning about that economic impact is probably not relevant any longer and have to be revised. But also, and if you're going to do impact, it's going to probably impact multifamily differently than schools, and then differently than skating rinks and whatever. It's hard to pin down for all the building types. But my big question for you is, many times issues will come up and we'll have estimates between proponents and opponents of a measure that differ by orders of magnitude as far as what the cost impact is. So what do you propose for, you've talked about a sniff test, but is that going to work as we get into looking at the actual cost impact? How are you going to differentiate between the wildly differing estimates?
Well, I guess that is where this work group is going to come in. We will be receiving that differing information, and hopefully the folks who are drafting that information for us to deliberate on will also be available for these meetings to argue for and against the different metrics that are presented. And then at the end of that process, this group will need to select either components of each one to incorporate. I wouldn't suggest trying to combine and average those out because they're coming with different perspectives. And so it's going to be something that's going to have to be worked out via discussion within this group.
And Dwayne, I think it's a really good point that you've had a lot of experience here. I mean, ultimately, what we're trying to check is whether or not that rule should be adopted and or amended and adopted, So I think that's the critical piece, the action. Does it inform the decision before December 1st?
Thanks.
Do you, unless you disagree, I hope that was what you were asking.
It's just going to be having been literally in your chair. I feel for you because it's going to be tough, and you're not going to be able to go away with everybody happy.
Yeah, I agree, and I think ultimately it comes down to what action is the council taking on final adoption, right? And can we improve the amendment, or should it simply not be adopted? And that made it this far without that recognition.
Yep, and it's going to be tough given your timeline to really do any intelligent amendments to things because they've already rolled through many hours of tag meetings, at least the ones that will get argued about have, and tough to amend things on the fly when you have just weeks to get it all wrapped up.
Yeah.
Good
True
luck.
statement. True statement. Thank you, Dwayne.
And to Dwayne's point, I would hope that the deliberations at the tag level for altering those can be made apparent through some of the recommendations that we come through at the preliminary stage. Yes, the impact may have altered as a result of the changes at the tag level, but hopefully we can also address that alteration through the preliminary, sniff test, that I'm characterizing for tag member or not tag member, tag chairs and staff to come through and hopefully come through with a nice deliverable on this one.
Yeah. And I think ultimately we need everyone to help reinforce that what we are asking or what the statute's asking is, does the benefit outweigh the cost? So we need to keep reinforcing that and reminding ourselves that we're all looking at it through the same lens. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yes, thank you. For the small business economic impact statement, the statute says that an agency may decide to survey affected businesses or trade associations. And then also talking with Araya, they had an option of like listening sessions. I think a survey would be good, but listening sessions could complement that. Whatever, I just kind of want to know what you guys are leaning towards if you're planning on doing a survey and when that may happen, because I want to try and help you guys get good feedback, and I'd like to know ahead of time so I can help prepare our members and get them to respond in a timely fashion, and knowing in advance will help facilitate that. Thank you.
So as far as the advance warning on stuff, I would say that starting probably next week, we'll be beginning to send out some survey material on that one. Patrick, I know that you are heavily engaged with a lot of the tags. Do you have any free moments before next Wednesday? Me and you could set aside maybe an hour to talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah, if the committee meetings are still canceled on Friday, that freed up my whole Friday. So
Okay, then I'll shoot you an invite. I've got some stuff that's swept in to take the place of those, but I'll shoot you an invite, and I'd like to discuss more. You've been very willing to come to the table to talk about how to improve this process, and the questionnaire has been and listening sessions has been kind of prime on that list of things to do. And so if I could engage you to, assist in what we're going to be sending out as far as a survey goes and what we can try to do to facilitate some listening sessions, I think it'd be great benefit. And I would like to do that this Friday. So I'll shoot you something and we'll meet up.
Okay. All right. Tag chairs, council members, any thoughts, concerns?
One other thought that I meant to interject a while ago, but also when we're doing some of the cost benefit analysis, I think it's important, especially for the energy code, to consider that we have some statutory requirement driving some of those changes. And not that that means we should ignore some of the cost benefit analysis or small business economic impact, but we have some goals that are driven by statute, I guess is the characterization I want to make sure we keep in mind as we, deliberate on energy code proposals and whether or not the cost imposed by those changes is necessarily detrimental.
Okay. Last thought I have is we do not include significant changes in the model code because that's been vetted at the national level. Is that correct?
That is correct. If I wanted to point back to the RCW, I there's some exemptions to these. Here we go. Except as provided in B of this section, applies to significant legislative rules. Well, without finding a specific statute, without reading all this, the incorporation by reference exempts us from some of these requirements so that the model code changes. What was that, Krista?
B3.
B3, there we go. Rules adopting or incorporating by reference without material change, federal statutes or regulations, Washington state statutes, rules of other Washington state agencies, shoreline master programs, other than those programs governing shorelines, as referenced by Washington state law, national consensus codes that generally establish industry standards in the material adopted or incorporated regulates the same subject matter and conduct as the adopt. So anyway, that section right there says that we don't need to do the cost benefit analysis or small business economic impact statement on those model code changes.
Thank you for that, Craig.
Yeah, it's important to point out that in the mandate, the 70% reduction mandate for the energy codes, there is the note that we do have to consider costs there. So because there's if the cost is too burdensome, then the council has the power to suspend the that year's target. So that's just a note that this doesn't, in my reading, this B3 does not exempt the cost benefit or the economic impact for the energy codes.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to say that for the energy codes. For the energy codes, my point was that we have a mandate to get to 70% reduction by 2031. Yes, we're supposed to analyze the cost impact there. And we may be able to suspend a implementation for a code cycle, but that doesn't necessarily prevent us from the overall goal of that 70% reduction.
Okay, good. We're on the same page. I wasn't meaning to imply that you should suspend or shouldn't suspend. I was just merely noting that you guys still have to do the economic impact and the cost benefit analysis.
Yes.
And the distinction here, I think here is that this is saying by reference. So those aren't by reference. Those are new rules, right? This is saying if you're referencing other.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all I have. Go ahead, Patrick.
I'll give my shameless plug that if we switched to the IECC and adopted most of it by reference, it would make a lot less work for the CBA on the energy code.
That's a good point here, Patrick. I agree with that statement. I mean, I agree with the accuracy of your statement. Okay.
All right. So for Workgroup of Economic Impact next week, does 1 to 4 work for folks to attend? Like right now, we've got IRC meetings happening Tuesdays and Thursdays in the AM. There's a couple more plumbing code meetings set to occur. I believe the next one is happening Tuesday in the afternoon. There's some other meetings that we need to get on the books as well. But I'd like to try to dedicate Wednesday afternoons to Workgroup of Economic Impact.
Okay. Angela?
This meeting's a direct conflict with a supervisor meeting that I have standing every week. It goes from 1 to 3. Exactly.
Is there a better day for you, Angela?
Usually,
A little
yeah,
unfair to Angela and Ben right now.
basically
Yeah,
anything but Wednesday.
Well, I don't want to, I think Tuesdays are for sure out at the moment. I would hate to tie up your entire day with meetings. So I would maybe target Mondays if that works for folks.
Okay. It's a little soon, but I mean, might as well get going. Is everyone okay with Monday?
It'll be a little bit of a heavy lift for, could I maybe propose Wednesday next week since we're not intending to bring the IRC to bear on this group at the moment? And that'll give me a little bit more time to prepare the stuff after meeting with Patrick on Friday. And then following weeks, we can start on Monday.
Dustin, for myself, like next week, I'll only be available like 1 to 3-ish or so.
Okay.
on Wednesday. And then Mondays probably can make work in general, but it'll be a bit of a juggling act.
Okay.
We also
and
could push all the way to the following Monday if needed. We could try to break up this work a little bit and as tag chairs and start going through our petitions and then meet that following Monday.
I mean, that works for me if we can, that'll give us time to do that preliminary
Okay.
sniffing, develop the questionnaires and other stuff to bring to the table.
Okay.
If we want to push off till not next week. So that would be the 18th.
If everyone's okay with that, do you think we can get enough work done in the background?
I think so. And I mean,
Okay.
for just information, we're trying to bring the IBC, the IMC/IFGC, and the IFC right now, and then also the Commercial Energy Code and Residential Energy Code. Those are in a status where we could begin work here as well.
Okay. Okay, unless anyone's opposed, let's do that.
Okay. So the intent will be to bring the preliminary analysis on the IBC, the mechanical code, fuel gas code, and the fire code. I think that'll be plenty for this group to work on that first Monday, and then maybe the energy codes the next meeting after that. And then hopefully we can begin the public engagement at that point.
Okay. Anyone opposed?
Sorry, what's that energy code meeting date then?
Looking at the 25th of August.
So
Thanks.
And we can go ahead and get these scheduled out and some notices for folks. And agendas, I think we can probably get those prepped and Gov Delivery happening right now. And then as we get this going, I don't want to make a homepage change just yet, but I will get some of this stuff up on the homepage as a notice there alongside of Gov Delivery to get this ball rolling.
okay. I think we did it.
I think so.
If we go back to our agenda, then do we have anything else on there?
We've got other business, but I think we've kind of hit it with future meetings planning.
Okay. If there's nothing else, then thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Everybody, I appreciate the time today.